Hello guys, what is up? My name is Dylan. Welcome to the Popcorn Podcast. This is episode number 44. I am joined by... Why are you laughing? We haven't even begun yet.
I'm just excited.
Excited. Well, excited Clara is on the couch and we are going to be talking and discussing all things Wicked. So yeah, let's just jump straight on a broom and head straight into the film, shall we? So Clara, Wicked, Wizard of Oz, Wicked, Oz, Dorothy. What was your experience with this story, this world? Take it away.
I'm a huge fan of of Wizard of Oz. Basically, it was like a childhood favorite film of mine.
Yep.
I definitely dressed up as Dorothy for a good proportion of my childhood. I love the film. I love the whole Technicolor world. I love the sort of like the extreme colors, the like overdone musical numbers, Judy Garland and her voice.
Yep.
Like
Iconic.
It is what it is. It's just I just think it's so fun, and it was such a like key moment in my childhood. I really liked the film. What about you?
I saw The Wizard of Oz. The last time I watched The Wizard of Oz, I must have been in primary school. So I first got introduced to the film via Somewhere Over the Rainbow, the song. So that was my kind of insight sort of in there. And then of course I watched the film, and it was, of course it is still one of the most, iconic and most I would say important films in just cinema. And of course that went on to inspire the incredibly successful stage play, the show on Broadway and here in London in the West End, of which we have never seen.
No, neither of us have seen.
So this is, like a massive disclaimer to everyone watching. The pair of us, myself and Clara, have never actually seen Wicked, the show, the musical. So everything you're going to hear today about this film is from, our own interpretation of just the film. But I remember watching Wizard of Oz as a kid and singing Somewhere Over the Rainbow. And then that song was borderline scarred for me on that X Factor audition that I showed you this morning. I will link it down below, but it's hilarious. Go check it out. But however many years later, we come to the live action film Wicked, which we saw earlier this week. We went to the multimedia screening of Wicked. Yeah, Universal were hosting it, and we were all seated, and then we had a massive surprise because Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo and Jeff Goldblum and director John M. Chu surprised the audience. They came on, which was really, really cool and got the audience really hyped. What did you think of that kind of experience of going to see the film like that?
I thought it was really great, partly just because of, obviously it was amazing seeing, Ariana Grande, Cynthia Erivo, all of them, of course. But what I thought actually, which I loved most about it, was just the energy in the audience. That everyone, people were cheering, people were gasping, it was roaring with laughter at moments. It was just such a great atmosphere to see a film in, and the cinema's lovely, but it was just the energy from the audience.
Definitely. I completely agree. I think one of the best things about us going to see the film like that, and I'm sure many people watching the film currently will get to experience, is that excitement of having those fans going to see that and feeling that electric energy. But it's almost as if you had never seen a Marvel film, and then you go to an opening night of a highly anticipated MCU film, and you have that kind of energy of all the fans and all these incredible moments. So we'll get on into some of those reactions in a little bit. So I'm going to do a quick plot synopsis on the film so we can go straight into the conversation. And of course, spoilers guys, if you haven't seen Wicked, that being the stage play or the recent film, please do go check it out and come back to this video at a later time. So Wicked. Elphaba, an ostracized but defiant girl born with green skin, and Galinda, a privileged aristocrat born popular, become extremely unlikely friends in the magical land of Oz. As the two girls struggle with their opposing personalities, their friendship is tested as they both begin to fulfill their destinies as Glinda the Good and the Wicked Witch of the West. The film is directed by John M. Chu, starring Cynthia Erivo, Ariana Grande, Jonathan Bailey, Jeff Goldblum, Michelle Yeoh, and Peter Dinklage, amongst others. So, Clara, we were just discussing, we saw this about a week or so ago at a multimedia screening. Fan reactions aside and experience aside, what was your verdict walking out of the cinema?
I just had a great time.
Yep.
It was a lot of fun. It was an experience. You were really just in that world for, I don't even know how long it was. 2 hours and
2 hours and 40 minutes.
Didn't feel like 2 hours and 40 minutes.
I think that's let's start there because the runtime is when I really recently found out, like a few days before, that this film was going to be 2 hours and 40 minutes, and not only that, it's a part 1.
Yeah, and when you told me that as well, I remember being like, oh no, like what the hell, why is it only part 1? Like this is just going to be so long and drawn out for no reason. Like I actually after you told me that, I actually went in there with quite a poor attitude, and I was so surprised. It felt fast, it was pacey.
Yeah.
I don't understand how that could have been one, like both of those parts could have been one film, to be honest.
Yeah, I have since seen there has been quite a split reaction to the whole idea of this film being A, 2 hours and 40 minutes, and B, a part 1. Some people are saying, essentially have similar feelings to us of like, the film was great, it did a lot for the characters in really channeling that story and, you know, essentially setting up what's to come in the second part. And, you know, it's not just a setup film, it does more than that. But then I've also seen some people say this film is incredibly full of itself and doesn't, like, there is really no need for this to be a part 1 when the stage play is 3 hours.
It has to be said, I would love to see the stage play. Just
yeah.
What, like,
100%.
if anything, this film is a great advertisement for the stage play. No. Because I would love to, to see how they do it, to see the live performances of these songs. Like, but from seeing the film, I don't understand how it all fits in 3 hours. Like, I didn't feel like it was drawn out at all. Yeah,
I think the thing is, what I would say to like people criticizing the runtime and etc. I think, like, you know, they are two different mediums, you know, theater and film. And I think in terms of bringing that cinematic quality to not just realizing that world, but the story itself, I think the film earns that. I really was rolling my eyes beforehand. I was like, you know, this is why they're doing a Dune. Like, Dune warrants that. The 2-parter, but this we shall see. One thing I do have to say is, prior to seeing this film, I really wasn't convinced by the trailers. I thought the trailers didn't really look that great. I
can't lie though. I think I agree with you about the trailers, but also the trailers are the film. That was the thing that annoyed me when I came out of the film. I was like, I enjoyed that film. I thought the film was great. Why did the trailers do it all the way to the end?
Yeah,
like,
the trailers essentially spoiled the entire film, I think. Yeah,
I just felt like without that, like, I would have had a better experience. Not saying I didn't have a good experience.
Yeah,
I thought usually, and you do this more than I do, but I'll try watch one trailer for something to get the vibe for it, to see what it's like. If I'm watching more than one trailer, it's going to start ruining the film now. Yeah. They just put too much in there. But why are you laughing? Because I remember every single film that we used to go, you know, before the Wicked trailer would come on, I would always just go, yeah! Sorry, continue. We would see Gladiator 2 and the Wicked trailer was like, I was like, yeah! Sorry. I was there like, is there something on my face? Like, what has happened? Yeah, no, exactly. Like, usually we'll only watch one trailer. We don't want too much to be given away. But the Wicked trailer gives away the entire
Basically
film.
The entire
Like, film. Why? Just why? Yeah. People were going to go see it without that. Like, you didn't really didn't need to do that. Yeah.
That's a good point as well. This film is going to be huge. I mean, November of 2024, it seems like, you know, it's every single week now. There's a massive, massive film. You know, the first week we had Paddington in Peru. Second week we had Gladiator 2. Now we have Wicked. And next week we have Moana 2, which I'm seeing tomorrow, I think, at multimedia screening. So a huge, huge month for Hollywood, for films in November. You know, this whole idea of Glicked, the sort of second coming of Barbenheimer. We saw Gladiator 2 last week, sort of, or coming on 2 weeks ago now. So in the UK, we don't quite have that Glicked sort of event, but in America, I think Gladiator 2 releases the same day Wicked releases. So that's what's happening there. But overall, I mean, if you guys have seen my, you know, review on Gladiator 2, you know, I didn't like love it, enjoyed elements of it, didn't love it, but I think Wicked, I was surprised or just genuinely how much I enjoyed the film.
Me too. I think there's just so many elements of it that came together to make it great. And I think the key two things, in my opinion, are just the performances.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about that then. So I feel, and sorry to cut you off, Clara, I feel like despite not having seen the stage play and the Broadway or the West End play, I felt like the films, despite it being a huge studio blockbuster essentially, the film, I felt there was a real kind of sincerity to the source material, but whether that's The Wizard of Oz, the book, or the stage play, I felt like there was a real genuine genuineness and sincerity to it, and that is because of the two main castings of Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande. Let's talk about the performances then, because just straight off the bat, the two of them are absolutely exceptional in this film.
Phenomenal, so phenomenal. And I think in a way, maybe slightly unfairly of me, I expected Cynthia Erivo to be great. I just did. I went in there and she did not disappoint. She exceeded any expectation I could have had for her. Like, phenomenal, touching, deep performance. Ariana Grande really surprised me as how great of an actress she is. When she starts, she's playing a sort of mean girl.
She's basically playing Regina George in Oz, essentially.
And I was like, okay, so like she's great, but she's a bit like vapid, like funny, and then she has some heartfelt scenes, and you really do feel the depth of her emotion. Like, she doesn't hold back at all. I was really blown away by her performance.
For me, I would say, I think Ariana, for me, was probably my favorite aspect of the entire thing. I think Cynthia Erivo is incredible, but like you said, like, I kind of expected her to be great, and she does the character like incredibly well. Like, to be able to contest with a voice like Ariana Grande is just a feat in of itself.
Well.
And the two really, really, they have moments where their characters are against each other, but they also have moments where their characters, their friendship really comes to fruition. And in just every single one of those musical numbers, the two of them channel this just really kind of magnificent kind of energy just through their voices, through their performances. And that's another thing to be said is the idea of this is a musical. And of course, the first and foremost thing, you want to cast actors who can sing. Of course, that's been done. But it's also, it is a feature-length film. So their performances itself, regardless of the music, have to be good as well. And I think the pair of them really, really did an outstanding job. Ariana Grande really surprised me because I really, really thought she did a really, really great job with just the comedic aspects of the film. Her physical comedy is great. Her timing is great. The delivery, it's just brilliant. I remember when I used to watch Ariana Grande, most people know her from Sam and Cat, but I used to watch her on Victorious when I was a kid, and she was easily the best, the funniest part of that show. I thought she was absolutely exceptional here. And like you said, playing Galinda, who's essentially a Regina George character in Oz, that kind of character, and she absolutely nails it.
Go on. The other thing I really wanted to say about them is just their chemistry and how brilliant. That makes it amazing as well. Like, individually their performances are great, and it would have been a good film, but their chemistry is really what brings it alive. You see why they hate each other. You see why they're best friends. They almost have sort of the equivalent of a toxic romance between them going on. Like, you really feel that electric energy between them the whole way through, and I just think that really is what makes it as good as it is.
Can I say, I will say, like, I do agree with you. I will say I felt their competitiveness. I felt like the chemistry and the scenes they had when they were kind of almost like indirectly battling each other at the school was significantly stronger than when their relationship develops and they're supposed to, they almost become like sisters. I did think that the earlier scenes of them kind of being these sort of frenemies was a lot stronger for me. I think in the end, we'll get to the end in a sec, because that's a section of itself. I thought the way that they bounced off each other in like kind of trying to one up each other was, specifically Ariana Grande's character trying to one up Elphaba, was like, that was what was keeping me engaged throughout at least the first half of the film, because I do think like 2 hours and 40 minutes, majority of it is in this school, essentially. This, but speaking of which, we have supporting performances from Michelle Yeoh, Jeff Goldblum.
I just want to say one thing.
Sure.
Sorry. I think what scene I found really touching and that surprised me a lot was when they first make friends and Ariana Grande sort of giving...
Oh, yeah, that was great.
Elphaba. Sorry about that. A makeover. And I think what's done really well is her character doesn't actually change. That the writers don't do what often happens in the sort of like friendship, quirky, girly, competitive stuff of being like, oh no, deep down she's a lovely person. They didn't do that. She was still kind of narcissistic and kind of a bitch, but when her attention is turned on Elphaba for the first time, that it like lights her up and builds her up. And I think that is just so true of toxic friendships and things like that. And I think that really like brought me into believing in their friendship a lot, and I thought that was thought that was done really well. Sorry.
And it's obviously clear that the two of them have great chemistry just from like how you see them off screen. Like in all the interviews, they're just constantly crying. But yeah, the pair of them are great. What did you think of the supporting performances?
I thought, yeah, I mean, Michelle Yeoh is
Michelle Yeoh.
Michelle, like she's a goddess, so it's like she was great.
Can
Peter
I ask Queen?
Dinklage,
What?
just shut up. Peter Dinklage was great. I mean, his like phenomenal voice actor.
And Jeff Goldblum.
I love Jeff Goldblum as an actor. I'm not sure I totally loved their decision of how he portrayed Oz, but we
Really?
disagreed on this.
Yeah,
so
we did
I
disagree. I thought he was pretty much perfectly cast for that. I think like
I don't think his casting was wrong because I feel like I'm sure Jeff Goldblum can do whatever. They just sort of decided from the outset to play him like a bumbling idiot, and I just felt like he's not really.
But
There was never like when you came off, you're like he's Oz.
yeah, but isn't that kind of
Which is kind of
the
the point,
point of
but
the
you felt like you could have felt the switch more. Whereas the moment they sort of met him,
like you knew.
You just knew the moment you met him.
But did you not know beforehand though? Like he was going to kind of be this goofy character who sort of had talent for like machinery and trickery, but not actual magic. Obviously, yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like from like the Wizard of Oz, his talent for machinery and trickery is powerful. Like it is powerful. And you do find behind that is this bumbling sort of like quite weak person. But I did feel like we needed to sustain that power just for a little bit longer. Because just because he doesn't have magic doesn't mean he's not like powerful in his own way.
Yeah.
I just never felt that power.
I think maybe I'm hoping we get more of that in part 2.
Maybe.
For sure.
But again, like it was a decision that was made and you liked it and I'm sure
I enjoyed it. I think so. I think one thing we have to mention with Wicked is the whole sort of ending sequence, Defying Gravity.
Yeah.
What an epic end to that film. That was simply like sensational just from, the moment that the album was released, I just instantly downloaded it and started listening to that. And just, you get goosebumps just even just listening to Cynthia Erivo just build that song from the ground up and kind of what she transforms that song to being is just a mighty kind of I won't say achievement to this year in cinema. I don't think you could have ended the film any better than the way they did that. I would say just one of the most epic sequences you'll see all year, just fully just goosebumps inducing. And yeah, I kind of want to just go back to the cinema just for that scene. It was incredible.
No, 100%.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I feel like was amazing was the whole production design.
Yes.
From costumes to sets to any little prop. Everything was so meticulous and perfect and detailed. I thought that was also really...
Definitely. I think it's nice as well because, with huge studio blockbusters, a lot of the time, these kind of things are shortcut and just sort of done with special effects CGI. There was much more of a kind of... We'll get onto this in the mixed aspect, but like there was a real emphasis on having, practical sets and costumes that felt more tangible, and those elements was just stunning. Like the costumes itself were incredible.
Oh my God,
like Elphaba's glasses, that was really cool, and like just the sets from the school to like the forests and everything about that was outstanding. And I think it's going to do really, really well at the award season. Going on to like kind of the more mixed aspects / criticisms. You said you had one.
No, it's not really like a deep criticism.
Okay.
But I feel like I came into it with actually quite little expectations. But they start off where the Wizard of Oz ends. So they start off with Elphaba having just melted.
Yeah.
And that just like, I didn't quite realize it was going to, but it just brought me back to watching The Wizard of Oz and that sort of those moments.
Yeah.
And having those two films in such direct comparison in my mind while watching it made me just again, amazing film, loved it, but the twinge of disappointment in what that musical could have been.
Sure.
And what I mean by that is literally just how it's shot and conceived. That there is, just the vibrancy of the Technicolor world and how they bring that to life so beautifully with obviously such little in comparison to what people have now in order to make films, I thought is a very artistic thing. But like there's just moments, for example, where that song where Elphaba sort of runs through the like wheat fields to see the sort of stormy lands.
Yeah.
And it was just like, the thing about The Wizard of Oz is that contrast between the black and white real world and that Technicolor world. And there just wasn't a contrast. Like, it just wasn't like that. And again, it was a great film. Maybe it was actively trying to differentiate itself from The Wizard of Oz. But I did feel a bit like it had all these amazing things going for it. The set design, like we just spoke about, the whole production design, amazing. And I felt like they didn't really quite take advantage of that in how it was shot.
Yeah.
Like if I think about something like La La Land, where to me, each individual sequence has its own look, its own feel, its own vibrancy. Similarly to The Wizard of Oz, you know, you can see the Yellow Brick Road, you can see Munchkin Land, you can really see the Emerald City in how each things are shot. I felt like Wicked was great, but it was shot like a big blockbuster film.
Yeah.
And it wasn't shot with any new or interesting ideas. That was my only criticism.
Sure.
But it is what it is, and it's not that kind of film. And I feel like I just have to.
I mean, I think I would definitely agree with. I think, and a lot of people would as well. Is the idea that, you know, end of the day, this film is great and epic and just really, really great on many levels. But one of the more consistent criticisms of the film that I've been seeing is the idea of like the film just doesn't look. Like there's aspects of it that look good and great, like what we just mentioned, but also things that just don't, like very, very heavily green screened. And one thing people seem to be picking up on is the lighting of a lot of the scenes, a lot of the characters that are just quite bad, to put it simply.
Yeah, there's just there was a couple of moments that just left me sort of wanting a bit more.
Like Emerald City.
But also like, you know, The Wizard of Oz is known for being camp and theatrical and all of these things, right? And there's just a couple moments like when Michelle Yeoh like gets rid of a storm.
Yeah.
Like you could have had that in, you didn't have to have it in, but it was shot so you didn't see the storm. You just sort of saw their profile, not even really their faces or their emotion. Like there were a couple decision-making things where you were like, yeah, you got the scene.
Yeah.
And it looks great because the production looks great.
Yeah, but not because of the direction.
Yeah, that's sort of how I felt about it.
Sure. So this is another thing like about John Chu, who is obviously an incredibly successful director at this point in his career.
Some amazing.
He's done great stuff before. I really enjoy Crazy Rich Asians, and even In the Heights, I do kind of enjoy. But common criticism with his is just that he's just very studio. Like he just does, and for like more kind of fans of film and cinema, we just want to see a bit more of a creative directorial vision.
Yeah, I think that's sort of what I felt. Like again, not a bad film, very enjoyable. Definitely go see it. But it was just that. Yeah, just left me wanting a bit more. Yeah,
but overall, pretty positive. I think the pair of us were, and I think it probably will crack my top 10 of the year for sure. Like I had a blast with it. So yeah, shall we move on to some Letterboxd reviews and see what other people are saying?
Okay, sounds good.
So Cinema Joe has said, one of those movies where I recognize its flaws, but after 2 watches, it's all I've been thinking about for the past week. So maybe I love it. Who knows? Ratings are made up anyways. He's given it 4 stars. Another thing with me is that I haven't stopped thinking about it since seeing it, weirdly, or at least that last sequence was for me. But maybe it's also just because I'm constantly listening now to the soundtrack. So, we need to book to go and see the musical, the West End production. Yeah. So Katz has given the film 5 stars and says the way the entire theatre moaned every single time Jonathan Bailey was on screen should be studied. But I don't know if she means moaned as in like bad moan or like a good moan.
I think she means a good moan.
Okay, sure. I moaned. No. Octopus Lover 8 has given the film 5 stars and says, so that was the best thing I've ever seen in my entire life. I'm going back next week in a witch hat. Sure. Frank Yan has given the film 2 stars and says, there's no reason whatsoever this half a movie deserved to be 2 hours and 40 minutes when the entirety of the original stage musical is only 2.5 hours long. Yeah, this is what it was kind of...
Yeah, but I think it was fun. Like,
yeah.
Firm it.
Sorry,
You'll have a good time.
Frank. Just Sam has given the film 4.5 out of 5 stars and says, heard a guy behind me complain about how little practical effects there were. Oh, I'm sorry. All the real flying monkeys must have been busy on the next Chris Nolan film or something. Maybe next time, huh, buddy? Yeah.
To be fair, we love practical effects, but this guy does have a point.
Yeah. Dill Abel. Right, Dill Abel. 5 stars he's given this, and he just says, Filipino karaoke bars are not ready. I don't get it. Any idea?
Do I?
Filipino karaoke bars are ready. Can someone explain that to me? I'm not sure. Dylan Lemons, hello Dylan, hello fellow Dylan, has given the film 4 stars and says graduated from Shiz University with a master in
You just picked that because you wanted to do that.
That's why I was laughing this morning. Julia has given the film 5 out of 5 stars and says, when Ariana wrote God is a Woman, she was referring to Cynthia Erivo and herself. I see what you did there, Julia. I see what you did there. The film Drunk, who I love watching, his videos are great, has given the film 2.5 out of 5 stars and said, it's kind of like if Kevin Feige and the MCU were in charge to make the movie.
To be fair, I do understand, but it was also fun.
Yeah, it was fun. I think it's almost a better Marvel film than a lot of MCU films recently, for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
Cobb gives the film 5 stars and says, Defying Gravity in IMAX felt like seeing the face of God. Yeah, it was a pretty epic sequence. Anto has given the film 4 stars and says, I went to watch it and there were 2 guys dressed like the 2 protagonists of this movie, and the ticket seller said to them, I guess you're going to watch Terrifier 3 dressed like that, am I right? Can you imagine if they actually did that?
Yeah, that'd be jokes.
Sydney gives this film 3 out of 5 stars and said, this is not a happy rating, but seeing the stage musical was one of the greatest nights of my life, and this just feels very big and commercial and lost me about halfway through. I would have watched 3 more hours of Cynthia Erivo singing, though. Fairs? Still need to watch the stage musical.
Yeah, we do.
Mama has also given the film 3 stars and says, I hate to be that guy, but the color grading on this is hideous. With the production design, costume sets, gardens, etc. Every piece of the frame should be bursting with vibrant colors. The film crew put all this time and effort into making this movie look and feel magical, yet they have it looking washed out like this.
I can't lie. I so agree with that. So agree with that.
There's a point.
Yeah.
Keris gives this film 4.5 out of 5 stars and says, the wickedly talented Adele Dazeem. Nice seeing Adina Menzel in the film, though. You did. You don't know Adina?
Were they the actresses?
Yeah.
I did.
She was part of the original Wicked, I think, on Broadway. Whoa.
I did.
Owen has given the film 1.5 stars. Oh, Owen, let's see what you have to say. I bet the musical this was adapted from is Wicked. Interesting. Someone's not happy with that adaptation. And finally, Kylo, not to be confused with Kylo Ren, has given the film 4.5 out of 5 stars and says, I think I pissed quite a few Ozians in the cinema off when I choked on a popcorn kernel during Dancing Through Life.
Which one was that?
I don't know, but the idea of him... Sorry, because it happens so much, the flipping popcorn kernels. I remember I was like really choking one time.
I once had a coughing fit, do you remember, in the cinema, and you thought I was dying?
No, which film was this?
I can't believe you don't remember.
Well, on that note, guys, that is kind of our quick sort of Wicked review. Do let us know what you thought of the film down below in the comments section. We'd love to know what you think. If you've seen the musical, if you haven't seen the musical, and just in general, what you thought of this adaptation. Are you excited to see Wicked Part 2? Are you excited to see Wicked Part 2?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I think it's... yeah, we had a lot of fun with this film. And it was nice to get like a kind of big, dare I say, studio film that's pretty good at the end of this year.
Like you said, great Marvel film.
Yeah, it's a better Marvel film than most Marvel films of recent, I would say. But yeah, thank you, Clara, for joining me for this chat. Thank you guys for... No, thank you. Thank you guys for watching, listening, and we will catch you in the next episode of the Popcorn Podcast. Cheers.